Hey, guess where I am? In the car, in the parking lot, at the grocery store again. I'm telling you, this is like my quiet place, my place of meditation and thought and reflection, I guess. And that's okay. So, today, on my way here, I was doing a lot of thinking because my brain doesn't stop. It goes on 24 hours a day. But some of what I was thinking about is how answers often come in the very quiet moments or in really unexpected ways. So, years ago, and I'm talking, it was probably 6, 7, 8 years ago, I decided to start my own real estate company. And at the time, my brain, because I'm so ADHD, was swirling around with so many ideas. I wanted to do real estate, and I wanted to start a health and fitness like gym, and I wanted to start a health and fitness, product line, and I wanted, oh my gosh, I had so many things going on, and like a community kind of thing out in the woods where people that have cancer could come and live and stay and just have like a peaceful environment where there's zero stress and they could just focus on their healing. I mean, these are all things that were going through my head. I wanted to do them all, of course, right? And but I already had my real estate license. So I'm like, okay, listen, I gotta start somewhere. So I decided to open my own little real estate company and kind of operate it differently, right? Because I think when you hear real estate agent, people automatically just think swindlers and salesy people and stuff like that. And that's like totally not me, you guys. I'm empathetic and compassionate. And those are two words my clients use to describe me as a real estate agent. And you know what? I'm way more proud of those things, those kinds of character descriptions than I am of being rich or flashy or driving the best rig. Because honestly, you guys, I have shown homes and I've had to drive my old clunker beater gig van that I just bought to transport my music equipment in and also use to like make dump runs and stuff. So, and I've met clients in that van to show a home up in pretty ritzy neighborhoods. So I am real and I am genuine. And that's probably why the clients that choose to work with me, right? They know I'm not fake and throwing them any fluff or any salesy tactics at all. And so back in the day though, when I was deciding to do this, I wanted to, because my brain had so many things it wanted to do, I decided that I wanted to have a name for my company that was kind of more all-encompassing and overarching and really reflected like me and who I am as a person and everything. And but man, I tried so hard to think of something and I just couldn't think of anything that felt good to me, that was gonna kind of be an more umbrella branding, if you will. And actually that inspiration came from Richard Branson, right? The business person that started like Spirit Airlines and stuff like that. He's just an inspiration to me because he's a wonderfully kind person on the inside, and he's a billionaire basically, but he's so real and genuine and down to earth. And I read, an autobiography that he had written and stuff, and he kind of has this brand, right? But he has different companies that sort of all operate under that same branding, and that's what my idea was at the time. Have I been successful at any of this? Not really, but I want to tell you the cool story about how I came up with the name finally, after months and months of writing out everything that I could think of on paper and putting words together and thinking of values and all of that stuff, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. So what happened is I said, you know what, one day I'm like, I need to just clear my head. And what helps me, especially back in the day, arthritis keeps me from being able to jog that much, but back in the day, that is one of the times where I am just able to be so clear-headed and the noise kind of leaves when I'm out jogging. And so I decided to go for a jog. And before I left, I put the intention out there. I'm like, listen, I need to come up with a name for my company. And I put it out there. And I took off on my jog. And about a mile into it, you know, and here I am, I'm like, oh, I've got a mission, I'm going to do this thing. But about a mile into it, I hear, meow, meow, a cat, a little kitten. I could tell it was a baby cat. And I just kept running. I'm like, no, just keep going. I'm sure it's fine. Keep going. I'm sure it's fine. But it kept happening. And finally, I had to stop. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I was fighting my instinct and my urge to stop, because I stop for everybody that needs help. Animals, people, doesn't matter. And I just was going to keep on going because I had this mission in my head. And out of nowhere, seriously, this voice said inside my brain, every life matters, Joanna. And it was loud and clear. And at that very exact moment, I knew that my company branding was going to be Everlife. Because I am that person. Every life matters to me. Every life. Insects, animals, humans, people. Every life matters, and everybody has a story, and everyone deserves the right to be seen. I mean, these are all things that I operate from every day in the world anyhow. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks that kind of name would be able to encompass all of the different businesses that I wanted to do, right? Even a realty company. Everlife Realty was born out of that. My company closed its doors a few years ago. I just couldn't make it financially, but I still have my signs, so maybe one day I'll revive it. Especially now that my boss decided to not pay me still, and it's been almost a month. He's a month late on my paycheck. So anyway, probably just branch out and start my own company again. But that little crying kitten and the voice in my head, and at that instant, I had to stop. Well, I went over across the street where I heard the cat cries coming from, and I'm looking around, and there's a new neighborhood there, and in that new neighborhood, there's like this big kind of, like a pond or something, but they use it for kind of like water runoff treatment or something like that. It's a little preserved area, and it's all fenced in to keep people out. Well, I get up closer, and I'm looking, and finally I see this little tiny kitten, and he's stuck on the inside of this thing, and he couldn't get out. And he's so little. He had to have been just like 6 or 7 weeks. He was so tiny. And here I am looking at this fence. And this is on a really busy street too, by the way. So cars are passing and driving by. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get this cat. So I look at this fence that's about 8 feet tall. Thank God it didn't have like barbed wire on top. And I mean, you do what you gotta do, right? So I climb the fence and I jump down on the other side, and I get this little baby kitten, and I tuck him in. I was wearing a little, well, something like this, right? A little sweatshirt. And I tuck him into my sweatshirt and I zip it up. And at this point, you know, there was no point going on the run anymore after this. So I turn around and went back home and brought this little kitten with me. Of course, all of my kids freaked out and they were very excited about it. We took care of him for a few days. We tried really hard to see if anybody owned him or if anybody had lost a kitten in the neighborhoods around us. No one claimed him. And so eventually we had let one of our neighbors basically adopt him because, oh my gosh, I already had plenty of animals at my place. But that little guy, the Everlife kitten, found a nice home with some of my neighbors just up the street from us, so we were able to still see him every day and visit. And that, though, that story is never going to leave me because it was such divine intervention. And, I was trying so hard to just force something. And finally, when I gave up and said, you know what, no, what I'm going to do, and here's the thing, here's the catch, is just put myself in an environment where I can clear my head and not try to think of anything, and let the universe, let God just send me the answer. And jogging at the time was one of those places where I actually was able to have the clearest thinking. For some reason, it would kind of like push out all of the constant merry-go-round of thoughts that happens in my head every single day. And there's a lot of science between running and jogging, actually, that I've since learned, but I didn't know this at the time. I just knew the physical effect that it had on me and on my thinking and on my clarity. And once I finally gave up trying to force it and I slowed down and I just let it happen, that's when the magic happened. And that's when the name hit me so hard, literally as a voice, basically, in my head. And yeah, that's what I decided to come and share today, which I know is a weird story, but it's a cool story, Sometimes you can't try to just force something. You have to learn tricks to help yourself surrender and release and let go. And it's amazing what can come to you when you're able to do that. And that's what I have for today.